You don't have to look very far to find a game that's scary, disturbing or unsettling, especially with the resurgence of horror games over the last decade. But what about games outside of the genre? Sometimes there are moments in these games where you realize you've stumbled into something far darker than you ever anticipated. For me, horror is most effective when it's unexpected. And I'm not talking about jump scares or cheap tricks. I'm referring to moments in games that cross a line you didn't even know existed. Moments that get under your skin. In my opinion, there's no better example of this than Spec Ops: The Line. At first glance, Spec Ops appears to be just another military shooter from the 7th generation, with its generic name, formulaic box art and spectacle-driven marketing materials. And for the first few missions, the game seems to deliver exactly that. The good guys enter hostile territory to clear out the bad guys. But this couldn't be further from the truth. Spec Ops: The Line is actually a deconstruction of the war game power fantasy, a topic that could warrant a video on its own, and one that many have already explored in depth. However, the reason I chose to talk about Spec Ops is the way it made me feel, all starting with a single moment in Chapter 8, the infamous white phosphorus scene.
I'd say that's the gate.
Up until this point, the game still feels like a typical military shooter, though grittier than usual. Then you're confronted with an almost impossible tactical situation.
Alright, Lugo, what are we up against? An army? Give or take?
Outmanned and outgunned, the only way forward is to set up a mortar and deploy white phosphorus on the enemy below, just like you've done many times before in Call of Duty and Battlefield, firing from above. At first, it feels like a scene straight out of these games.
Reloading.
But once you complete the objective and the enemies stop moving, something feels off.
Harbor disabled.
The game lingers, as you hear the screams of pain coming from the rubble.
No one's moving. It's over.
That's right, Walker.
Okay.
And if you weren't uncomfortable yet, the game forces you to confront the consequences of your actions up close.
This was too much. Stop talking. What'd you just say?
He means the smoke is toxic. Keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, right.
I'm trapped.
Let's just keep
feel my leg.
Hearing the cries for help and mercy send a chill down my spine. The narrative quickly shifts from a gritty military shooter to full-blown psychological horror. And nothing could have prepared me for what came next.
You brought this on yourself.
We were helping.
Then the game
What?
delivers an absolute punch to the gut,
Oh no.
revealing that the soldiers were there trying to help and that you killed a large group of innocent civilians in one of the worst ways imaginable.
Are those civilians?
Where'd they come from? There's no camp here.
They took them from the nest.
It's one of those moments where I had to pause the game for a minute or two before resuming. While traditional horror games filled with jump scares can be fun, this is the kind of horror that truly affects me, the kind that examines what humans are capable of. They aren't fun, but they're engaging and thought-provoking. And back in 2014, when I first played this, I was the perfect target audience. It was one of the most effective uses of shock factor I'd ever seen in gaming, and it's just as powerful today as it was back then. Life is Strange is one of those divisive games that you either love or hate, and I fall into the former camp. While I can see the game's shortcomings, there's something so comforting and nostalgic about the small coastal town of Arcadia Bay. Pair that with the beautiful autumn color palette, the coming-of-age story and impeccable soundtrack, and you've got me hooked. And this is precisely why the tonal shift in episode 4 works so damn well. Although Life is Strange had already shown it wasn't afraid to tackle heavy subject matter, few were prepared for just how dark the story would become. What began as a coming-of-age tale revealed itself to harbor a much more sinister layer beneath the surface. The game follows the journey of Max Caulfield and Chloe Price, two estranged friends who reconnect. Max discovers she can manipulate time, while Chloe reveals that her best friend, Rachel Amber, has gone missing. The first 3 episodes focus on Max exploring the limits of her powers, rebuilding her friendship with Chloe, and investigating Rachel's disappearance. Throughout it all, the game maintains a sense of mystery and melancholy. Everything changes though, when Max and Chloe's investigation leads them to an abandoned barn.
Holy shit, this is scary.
I know, but we're here. Let's go find the best way in.
Whoa. What is this? It's totally brand new.
With some quick thinking, they break the padlock and reveal what's beneath the hatch.
This is heavy.
What is this?
Do I even need to say how weird this is?
It turns out the barn wasn't abandoned after all.
Who built this kind of place?
Max uses her powers to unlock the bunker door, leading them into a cold, sterile room. And this is where, in my opinion, the first real shift into dread takes place. Up until now, the game has mostly relied on a warm color palette, creating a dreamy, comfortable and nostalgic atmosphere. However, the bunker takes this feeling in the opposite direction. The familiar warmth is replaced by cold, oppressive blue tones that evoke a sense of unease. This feeling only gets worse as you start to explore the area, finding duct tape, sedatives, needles and graphic images on the walls. Then, opening the cabinet reveals the horrific truth, not only about Rachel, but also the fate of many other girls.
Look, the next one says Kate.
Oh no, Kate. No. Kate wasn't the first. All those binders are filled with other victims.
Rachel. This can't be real. These are all post shots, right? Right?
Chloe, look at her face. She's out of it.
Maybe Nathan paid her a shitload of cash to do this. She probably would have.
I don't think so. Why is he putting her in the ground like that? Where?
The junkyard. Max, we have to find that spot now. Then we can see what he did. There's no way she's dead. No way.
Chloe is clearly struggling with denial, and when the two arrive at the junkyard, the devastating reality hits as they find Rachel's body. Now, you might say we've seen this type of plot many times before in movies. While you would be right, I believe the way this story is integrated into a sci-fi teen drama video game is brilliant. When a narrative allows me to truly empathize with its characters, scenes like this hit extra hard. And I think the bunker reveal stands out as one of the most chilling moments in recent memory. The Mass Effect series is very dear to my heart. I love it for its world building, characters and sense of adventure. While there are many memorable quests throughout the series, one in particular caught me off guard, and that's Mass Effect 2's Project Overlord. Overlord begins with you responding to a distress call from a research station. A rogue VI has killed all the scientists except Dr. Gavin Archer, the one who sent the call. He explains that his brother David volunteered for an experiment to connect his mind to a virtual intelligence in an attempt to control the Geth, a group of synthetic beings long hostile to humanity. However, the experiment backfired. David, now integrated with the Geth's systems, seems to have lost control, becoming something akin to a virus, and completely taking over all of the facility's systems. The mission seems simple. override the security and shut down the VI hybrid.
Cerberus personnel. In an effort to reduce workplace stress, music has been approved for station-wide broadcast.
But it is never that simple. The atmosphere of this mission felt completely different from what I was used to. Cameras are always pointed at you, and there are moments where the VI seems to taunt you. On top of that, audio logs scattered throughout the facility hint that the VI is trying to communicate.
Everything's off wire. Archer declared a lockdown, but our station's already infected. What does the VI want? It keeps screaming at us. Nobody understands.
There seems to be more to this story than Gavin initially let on.
For years, my brother's condition has been a handicap. That changed today. His autistic mind is the breakthrough I've been looking for. He can communicate with the Geth. Such a tremendous grasp of mathematics. It seems serendipity is alive and well in the 22nd century.
As we move forward, the trail of carnage David left behind is unmistakable. Then we finally reach the server console. When we interact with it, David manages to merge with our cybernetic implants, and at last we can understand him. We enter a kind of augmented reality, still in the real world but with a digital layer projected over it. Now we can slowly piece together what David's been saying throughout the entire mission. And we get to see what kind of monster his brother really is.
David, I want you to order the Geth to take a step forward. How does he do it? David is a mathematical savant. His autistic mind can interpret the Geth language at its most basic form and mimic their phonetics, with his photographic memory cross-referencing the meaning as a snap. He's literally a human computer.
And you think he can interface with the Geth's neural network?
I do.
Is that even safe, Doctor?
I see no harm in finding out.
David never volunteered. Gavin forced him into the experiment without any regard for his well-being. The constant shouting we've been hearing throughout the mission wasn't anger. It was simply a cry for help. And when we finally get to meet this so-called VI hybrid, we see a man trapped in his own personal hell.
Quiet. Please, make it stop.
Painfully constrained and subjected to complete sensory overload, he is merely trying to escape his nightmare.
Let me take care of him.
Thankfully, this is a dark turn we can actually reverse, but not before Gavin shows us his true colors one last time.
I've seen enough of your cruelty to know he'll never be free from it here. I'm taking him away.
No, leave him! He's too valuable!
You even think about coming after your brother and this bullet will be waiting for you. Then we'll see who's valuable.
Where will you take him?
Grissom Academy. They can help special cases like David. Minus the torture. Joker, contact the Academy and let them know we've got someone who needs their help.
Aye, aye, Commander.
The elusive man can fire me if he doesn't like it.
Square root of 912.04 is 30.2. It all seemed harmless.
In a game about saving the galaxy, this was a surprisingly personal tale of ethics, abuse of power and suffering, made even more impactful by the way the story was delivered. As we've seen, whether it's the suffering of many, a couple or just one individual, these games have a way of blindsiding us with their unique brand of horror, forcing us to confront the uncomfortable. I applaud these games for going there, as they tackle such sensitive subject matters, and I will remember them for a long time to come. Hey, thank you for watching my video all the way to the end. This one turned out to be quite a bit heavier than I expected. Hopefully it was still a good watch. Liking the video and subscribing to my channel would be really appreciated. And if you want to support me further, check out my Patreon. Alright, that's it from me. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace!